Right, change of plan. I'm just going to quickly install the front push rods and tubes. I've already lubed up the washers, so I'll do as quick as I can. Right, I'll just take you off this a second. Right, what you've got here, if I try and sort of look at it, see the push rods are sticking up level there. That's the one. It's at its lowest point, as in I can put my rocker gear onto that. This one, as you can see, is sticking. If I line the thing up properly, although it looks equal, that's actually sitting up. Remember that the exhaust push rod is longer than the inlet, and the inlet's sticking up slightly, and it's hard to show you. I'll see if I can get in. Oh, here, where's my torch gone? This is going to be a bit awkward. A torch on. You can't really see. You might be able to, but in the background you can see one of the lifters is up, whereas I can't get in with that camera. Can't show you. But basically, just to point out that that the front, the actual push rods are sitting higher out of the head than they are on the back, and the inlet one's sitting higher than the exhaust. So if you were to put your whatchamacallits on now, your rocker gear, you'd find that there'd be quite a lot of pressure because it'd be trying to push the valves open. And while I'm at this stage I might as well put my whatchamacallits on. So I'll do the back one first. Oh, bugger. This is something you've got to be careful of when you're doing this job. I'll just whip that back out. The actual top seal came away. Right. Bit awkward with the throttle body not playing ball. Right, so that's them on. Right, I'm just going to knock you off and we'll get set up at the back again and we'll get this rocker gear on now. Right, as I think I've already said, I've cleaned all the surfaces off and stripped the breather, like took its umbrella off and its filter out and everything. So I'm going to put the new stuff in. What comes in gasket set, you've got a little, two little in an impossible to open plastic packet. In this little packet there's two umbrellas and two washers, and the washers go on the bottom of the rocker gear, which it actually sits in there. It's not a washer, it's an O-ring. So the umbrella, it's got a little tang on it. What you want to be doing is just put a tiny little bit of lube, which I'm just going to get on my fingers now. Just put a little bit of lube on the umbrella, and then clean my fingers. Right, so I've lubed up this bit here. And basically all it is it just sits in that hole and just push it down and just push it hard and just give it a bit of a pull through and just make sure it's seated properly. And that's it, that's that done. So the next bit is to put the little new sort of filter. Now just centralise it over that bit that's sticking through on the umbrella that you've just put on, and then just push it in all the way around. And that's that. So next step is get your new gasket. That goes on the bottom, obviously. That's going to sit into the rocker gear. Then you get your other gasket. I keep having to move away here because I've got everything in the wrong place. Yeah, get your other gasket, just sit it on. Put the top cover on, and if I can see it, I'll get myself a bolt and just shove that gasket's a little bit tight. Now I have to put this, I don't have to do this on the front one straight away because I've got room to take it out. But on the back one, if you remember, I had to lift it out with the rocker gear. So that's together as a unit. And what I'll do now is I'll just grab the rocker gear. See in the middle there, the shape of where that sits. So, being careful not to drop the gasket off. Just sit it in place and then wind it through a little bit. Because what I want to do here is get a tiny drop of blue Loctite onto that. But first I'll just grab another little bit of lube. I'm just going to lube up that O-ring that sits in that in there. I'll just put that in place. So that's in there. And what I'll do before I do anything else is I'll just drop some lube. Get a bit on my fingers. I know it's not an engine strip and rebuild, but I always like to lube stuff up. So a bit on top of the actual valves. And then just a drop on top of each push rod. And then get your rocker gear. And what I'm going to do this off camera. I'm just going to put a drop of blue Loctite on them 2 bolts that I've put through. Right, and now that that's done, I can lift it all into place and drop it down, and everything's that's wound in. Right, I've just nipped it to the side. I might be able to get that easier for it to the side. Right, and I'm hoping that I haven't just screwed up. I'll just check. pretty sure I could get the bolts out the back if I remembered rightly. Yes, I could. Now, just a quick check to make sure that your push rods are actually sat in the cups on there properly. Right, I'm just going to put some Loctite, just a drop of Loctite on the back too. Doesn't need to be massive amounts. And I'll just stick them in. And then I'll grab two out of the, I'm saying front and rear. Right side and left side. This is the right side. So I'll just put a drop of Loctite on the right side bolts. Right, and I'm just going to use a spanner just to take these down so far. Right, and I'm just going to slowly give these like quarter of a turn each, and I can feel it starting to take up a bit of pressure. And now's a good time to just double check your push rods are in the right place. Even though it's on its lowest part of the cam, it's still advisable to just take it down steady and equally. We'll torque them up in a second, but I want to tighten the others up first, the two smaller ones. Now there is a torque setting for these small bolts. But it's like 10 Newton meters. So I'll just be nipping them up with my hand because I can't get a torque wrench onto the rear one, onto this one that I'm tightening now anyway. Right. So now I just need to find the correct tools and I can torque these down. I'll just knock you off for a minute while I find my tools. Right, found my tools and I'm just altering the torque wrench. 29 Newton meters. It's in between 26 and 30 I think is the thing. I always set these at 29. When I'm doing them in a frame, that is. If it's been a complete strip and rebuild of an engine, I always tighten them up to the highest torque. Right, and that's them torqued up. So, I'll just give that, oh, wrong spanner. Give them a check as well. They're tight enough. So, what I'll do next is I'll put the cover on, but I'll have to ratchet that out because I bought new ones. Well, second hand, very good ones. Right, I'll be back in a sec. Right, just before I put covers on, cover should I say, I'm just going to put the engine through a cycle just to make sure everything's nice and bedded in. Not bedded in, but right, that'll do. Right, with the covers, just get your gasket. Gasket can only go on one way. So, yeah, just put your gasket over. Cover. Cover on. These covers are in a lot better condition than the old ones, should I say. I was going to buy new ones, but I went and put a search in on eBay, just to see what was in like eBay shops and that, and this set came up second hand. And I mean, they've got a couple of tiny little imperfections on them, but one of them is a scratch on here. Well, when tank's on, you can't see it anyways. But no, they're pretty much perfect condition, and I got the pair of these probably for about the fifth of a price of the set of a new ones, of a set of new ones, should I say, which is quite good going. Right, crack on. Right, bit of Loctite on a bolt. I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up here, so I'll just hold that off. Right, and I'll get one in the back. Let's put a bit of Loctite on it. Right, I'm just going to put some Loctite on the other two bolts out the back, and I'll put them in, and then I'll come back to this side. Now you might have noticed that I'm using Cometic gaskets. Normally I use James gaskets, but I had a Cometic gaskets laid about, so I thought I'll use them. They're not my most favourite gaskets. But they work, that's the main thing. Right, I'll just find the correct size Allen key. Good guess. Obviously I've got new bolts as well. Right, don't fully tighten them, just nip them down all the way around, because then we'll line everything up. Right, line them up so that you're happy with where they're at. And then just nip it down. Nip one at back ends down, just double check the alignment again before you, just so you're 100% happy. And then nip one at back ends down. Well, you can actually nip them all down then, but got them to torque up. Come on. Okay, stuck now. Right, and then I can find my torque wrench. Cheers. These cover bolts just want to go to 24. So I'll just adjust this wrench to 24 Newton meters, that is. Right, I'll go around back to do this last one. Funny thing with this one is you can get it stuck against the seat rail. Makes it awkward to get it back out. And I think I may just have rounded that slightly. Yes, never to worry. Right, and that one. Obviously I didn't have it in far enough with the, because of the angle. That's tight enough, that's not going to leak. Just did that with the Allen key. And yeah, once you're happy, just give it a clean fingerprints off. I'll give it a good clean when I'm done anyways, but yeah, it looks loads better. Right, so I'll knock you off and then move you to the front one and we'll get cracked on and put all the front rocker assembly together. Okay. Right. As you know, I turned the engine over on the back, well, for the back cylinder should I say, which now means that we don't know where the front cylinder is. So, using your push rods, we'll turn the engine, you'll see push rods moving. Now that's crossover. See how the exhaust was just going down and the inlet's starting to come up? That's crossover. So we'll get that to that stage and the inlet push rod will go down. And what it's doing now is it's coming back up, so I'll get my screwdriver and just wipe the oil off it. So I must have spilled on it. I'll put that in and get it sort of top dead centre. It's not exact, this won't be exact top dead centre, but it's enough for our need. It's at the top, that's all that matters. Right, and now you see that they're pretty level. So, I've got the same thing to do. I'll just pull you out a bit. Now with rocker gear this time, I don't need to put the breather on straight away. I can actually get the rocker gear sat in, and it would help enormously if I can remember where I put it. Right, I'm just going to knock you off a sec because I don't know where I've put my rocker gear.